Yay! Is it on? Okay. My easel is on the way and my sunglasses because I shall be out here for a while. But on another note, I should have started my morning off doing my morning pages. Let's talk about that. As an artist, everyone's an artist in their own way. If it's cooking, if it's writing, if it's styling a house, like interior design, music, painting, which is more my medium. You know, everyone's got their jam. And even the people that say that they don't got their jam have that jam. They really do. And I've always believed that. And there's a woman named Julia Cameron that has created the book, The Artist's Way. I have just started the 12-week program, and it's about discovering your creativity and just unlocking those blockages, or even if you just want to have a more creative life, an aspect in life. And there's two things that you must do every day. Or not every day. There's one thing you must do every day. The one thing is your morning pages, which is the first thing when you wake up, you sit down and you write 3 pages of what? Really, just like anything, just all the brain garbage. So like a couple days ago, at one point I was writing, I don't know what to write. I don't know what to write. I'm cold. You know, other things can come on the paper, like sometimes it'll be creative, sometimes it'll be positive. I wasn't resistant against doing the morning pages, but it's getting to the 3 pages that really is difficult for me. But I've been keeping up with them. And then the second thing you must do is take yourself on an artist date once a week. So I guess you could consider this my artist date, which is unleashing your inner child, absorbing more images. You know, I'm around the beautiful lake right now. It looks like an ocean. Lake Michigan. I have all my paints with me. I'm gonna set up and just take the time to be with myself. On your artist dates, you can't have anyone with you. It's really to look in. And what's beautiful about this 12-week program is you have different tasks every week. There's a different chapter. This week, just so I'm saying it properly, let me make sure. It is recovering a sense of safety. So the goal of recovering a sense of safety as a creative and an artist is exploring your creativity with less fear. And it talks a lot about the first chapter, shadow artists, how many of us have had these dreams and aspirations as, you know, a young adult or a kid even, like the root of it. And we become shadow artists because we don't believe that we are artists due to, let's say, that teacher in grade school or high school that said that your art isn't good enough, or individuals saying, hey, your art isn't gonna get you anywhere, that's a hobby, or that's what you do on your spare time. So what happens is when you're a child and you're hearing all these things, what it does is it creates a box. So I like to just imagine a mental box and it trying to shove that artist within that box and close the top. But it's like one of those jack-in-a-boxes where it's like dee 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 dee, and it's gonna pop open at some point. Like, you building all that resistance is building resistance to essentially your soul. I am going to be going through this journey with you all, whoever ends up tagging along. We're gonna do my morning pages, and then we'll get into just my morning routine before we get painting. So this is gonna be more of an introduction into who I am My name is Amelia, and my journey with just falling back in love with life again, because there was a point in time where I was doing everything to survive, and from a picture-perfect standpoint in society, you know, I had the apartment, I had the job, but were my habits great? No. I was consuming all of these things that numbed me, made me angry. I wasn't healing. I was a shitty person, to be frank. You know, I was selfish. I was hurting the people around me. I was creating these connections that weren't substantial to me and what truly fed my soul. And that ties in greatly with the shadow artist, because I would admire so many other people that were truly tapping into what I wanted to do, but then I was fearful, and then I would tell myself, you know, I couldn't do it, that I didn't deserve it, and that I didn't have the time because I had to work. Or what I would do is also take in the struggling artist and the painful artist, and you know, with that comes, for some, not all, is abusing substances, which is what I would do. And me and alcohol just have never mixed. I've been told this since when I would drink as a teenager. You should not be doing this, you should not be doing this. But in my head, I'm like, how dare you tell me what I should be doing? I see mosquitoes. We're gonna go with my natural mosquito repellent real quick, because they love me for some reason. And what I did was, while trying to also push down the fact that I was in a situation that I created for myself of not creating, I also lost myself in the process. And then my personality became drinking. It became going out. I found myself in situations and with people that I shouldn't have been a part of. And you know, everything happens for a reason. I met these people and those things happened for me to grow from them. Did I act a fool many times? Absolutely. Did those people deserve to be treated that way? Absolutely not. Because looking within is a very painful thing. So if you think that you can't do it, you can. You can restart. You can do better. You can ask for forgiveness from God. You can repent. But going in with a greater purpose, greater than yourselves, changes everything. It changes everything. Because if you're trying to play the role of an actor in your life while also creating the set, while also writing the script, you're gonna fall apart. You're gonna forget the scene, you're gonna forget the angle, you're gonna forget the mission, you're gonna forget the end goal. Sitting and talking with God, repenting, only worrying about God's judgment and no one else's. Because guess what? At the end of the day, nobody knows what the heck they're doing here. I have a folder and I do loose leaf paper, but you can do either like a blank journal or anything along those regards. You're not allowed to read your morning pages at all afterwards. In the book it says something along 8 weeks after, so you can look back. But what I do is I have my blank loose leaf on this side, and then I have my written pages on this side. Like it's like a little kid riding a bike, you know? They're gonna fall, they're gonna suck at it at first, no offense. It's at the little kids, but all offense. And you're just not gonna do good. You're gonna need the training wheels, you're gonna need the helmet, you're gonna get scabs on your knees, and then eventually you're gonna be able to take those training wheels off. And then with time, even when you have those training wheels off, you are gonna run into a bush or a tree. So don't be discouraged, you know? And I'm saying this also, I need to grab that paper. I'm also saying this to myself as well because I am easily discouraged. Very easily discouraged. In this crazy freaking world, you just gotta find your way and your peace, because I'm gonna be sharing my way and what I'm doing to make sense of all this madness. But my way might not work for you. Or you might find things that I do or inspiration from others that you're like, you know what, this actually works for me. And then you create your own. You create your own. You create your own that aligns you, that makes you feel close to God, that makes you feel like your cup is overflowing. And not all days is your cup gonna feel like it's overflowing. Some days it's just gonna feel the same. But it's to know that you're here to elevate. You're here to alchemize. You're not here to just stay stagnant, because stagnancy is what kills the soul. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? I got my easel. I put it a little lower instead of higher, and I did my morning pages. I shall show you proof. Morning pages. Morning pages. And then a part of my tasks this week is to do affirmations and then write down my blurts, which blurts is the things resisting it, or what I think of that sort of combats that affirmation, and then turning it into a positive. I don't know. Normally I'd have my easel standing up, but the part that holds the canvas is also at home, so. And now I get to sit, which is gonna be nice. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise. Can you dig it? Alright, I got y'all set up. I'm gonna go in the water. I don't even know how cold it is. Hold on. No. No, no, no. I'm gonna do it. I have to. It's so cold. Just like scared to go fully in because of the creatures, and the further I go in, the farther I am from shore. I'm usually used to the ocean, but I moved, so now we have freshwater ocean, which Lake Michigan is very scary. That's a lighthouse. Its foghorn is pretty quiet, so I feel like it could do better, but she's so cute. This cup is from when I was very small, and my cursive was garbanzo beans, but I now use it to paint. It makes me happy. Let's get some water. All right, we're chilling. This is from Ben Shahn. I believe that if it were left to artists to choose their own labels, most would choose none. I think that's really beautiful and freeing, because as an artist, and to obtain some type of identity in life, there are many labels. People try to put themselves in labels in different niches and different groups. But to be an artist and to create is something that is boundless. How can you tap into something new or different if you're subjecting yourself to just one lane or one route? Yes, many of us are gifted with certain areas, like, or have a preference. My preference in my medium when I paint is acrylic, and I like to do layering and mixed media, so it's almost like a collage. Others might enjoy oil paints, but to just say I can only do oil paints or I can only do acrylics puts you in a box, right? So I thought it was really beautiful to say that there are artists would choose none. I love that. I love it. Yay. And I'm gonna do one more. The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. C.G. Jung, I believe that's how you say it. I'm gonna read it one more time. The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. And with that being said, you never know with what you put out or what art you're creating or who you meet, that interaction, how it's affected them, you know? Think back to when you've had people in your life that you've transformed from or you've grown from. Everyone that you've met or any experience you've had, you take something away from it. And, you know, I've reached out to people before in the past and I've told them thank you for saying this or doing that, and they're like, I had no idea it affected you that way, or vice versa. There's a bug on my book. And I like to think about core memories, if you know what I'm talking about. So core memories are the ones where, like, if when you look back, like, you remember it like it's yesterday. That's the memory you have with that person. And what's beautiful about core memories is that everybody has different core memories. It's especially apparent with my younger cousin, and I'll tell her certain core memories of mine with her, and she'll be like, I don't even remember that. But that's just something that I will always think of and remember for the rest of my life. And with her, vice versa. Like, I don't remember a lot of her core memories. And it's a really beautiful thing. So you never know, like, what will strike a chord. Strike? Mm-hmm. I've also been reading 2 other books. And, you know, we'll touch into those as well. And what's interesting about all 3 of the books is they all have to do with spirituality. They all have to do with an all-knowing creator, a bigger purpose, giving your life to a bigger purpose. Which is really beautiful because these are books that you can reread time and time again. The other book that I am reading is the Bible. I think that's self-explanatory. But I do integrate a Bible crossword puzzle with it because making sure it's recording. Because it makes it easier for me to, like, retain information, retain scripture, psalms, names. If not, it goes in one ear, out the other. And that's sort of what the morning pages help with. Regulating the mind. You're not as swirly. And then I'm also reading Alcoholics Anonymous. I have struggled with addiction. I'm just too passionate about it. So I choose a life of clarity. I choose a life of love. And it's an everyday thing. It's a gorgeous thing. Okay, let's pick colors. I'm pulling out my greens. I always have a bigger tube of white because you can never have enough white. Always mix more, lighten, you know, get funky with it. And I'm inspired to do some blues as well. So I don't necessarily have a specific shade in mind. I'm trying to paint a little more freely today because I tend to hyperfixate on my mistakes, and then it takes away from the art. Okay, let me make sure that those are in my bag. We are not littering at the beach. So, probably just keep some of the colors the same. So we'll do that. And I'm using my teeth. Don't do that. I'm doing it, but don't do that. There's a helicopter. Do you know that meme? Or helicopter. I'm envisioning frogs, little fairies. I really want it to be very ethereal. I have a feeling that this might be a multi-part video because I'm not going to rush and get it all done today. I feel like that's just the opposite of what I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to learn how to take my time with a painting. Because I'll try to finish the product immediately to feel gratified of getting a piece done, but then it's more of the experience. For the artist, it's more of the experience. These are our options right now. And then I'm gonna use this to mix. Be my lover, won't you be my lover? La da da dee da 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 da. La da da dee da 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 da. La 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 dee da, la dee dee da, la dee da 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 da. Okay, not with my zin falling out of my mouth. I've had many vices in the past, but my only ones now are coffee and zins. I am removing nicotine relatively soon. I just want to keep doing it right now. That's just the truth. That's just the dang truth. Alright, so here we are in my humble abode. I'm a very messy painter, so it's good that I'm here and I'm just vibing. So let's talk about art and when I started painting. What's the whole history and background of that? I have been painting since I could remember. It's just been something I've always done. And then with time in school, art was my favorite class. I took art classes in high school. I took photography classes. I actually used to do shows. I've done many different forms of art. It's just creating is something I love. And I was obsessed with Tinkerbell growing up, and now I wonder why. Because she's Tinker, she's handy. Am I necessarily handy? Yes. Once I build something wrong and then have to unbuild it and then build it 2 more times because I refuse to read the directions, because I am stubborn. Absolutely, yes, you know. But it's always been like a part of me. A dream of mine is to work with children with art therapy, specifically children because I love children. There's an innocence to them. When I was growing up, I ended up going to therapy for reasons, and I was very young and small, and the way that me and my therapist connected was she would take me to the art room and I would build stuff with clay and then paint it. So it's a very rooted inspiration of mine to do art therapy. Truly, I would do it with any age. I think it's such a good outlet, and I've done it with my friends before at my house or family members, and they've loved it, and I think it'd be nice to lead. I went to college. Did I finish? Not yet. I'm gonna leave that open-ended, not yet. But I went to college starting off with psychology, and that's because I really wanted to get my, I want to become a psychologist and then incorporate art with it. You know what I mean? But the thing is, if you want to do anything like that, you need 8 years of schooling. Newsflash, school is not for me. Or at least I don't enjoy school. I have dropped out multiple times. Will I go back? Maybe. It's a dream of my grandmother's, and I really want to fulfill her dream. But the thing is I have my own dream. And I need to figure it out. So, we'll see what I'll do. I need to put myself first. I used to always put myself, or what I wanted, second, because I wanted validation from others. And that's just not how it works. Because if you're trying to live your life for someone else, then why even live your life? And that comes with certain things. Whenever, like if you're in a relationship that takes sacrifice, right? There's always a sacrifice. It just depends on how much you're willing to sacrifice. And I wasted a lot of time. But is it a waste? Because now I've gained this knowledge. Wasted a lot of time in my life trying to do what other people wanted, and I didn't know what I wanted, and I didn't even want to sit down to think of what I wanted because I knew it would shame others. Okay, what am I doing? I'm just dabbling on the canvas. I want to just create different tones of green here. I'm going to layer. I want it to be funky. I want it to be fresh, because what I will be doing is on top layering thick paint. I will be using modeling paste and mixing it in with these colors. So this doesn't have to look fantastic. This doesn't have to look great. I'm going in, I don't even know the name of the brush. And you know what? That's alright. That's alright. We'll get there. Also, you don't need a lot of fancy things. You don't need to know all the names of the brushes to get down and create. You know, you got some mud and the ground, you can do something there. You know, use a rock. I don't know. How do you think they did it back in the day? They didn't have all the fancy Michaels and Blick and all that jazz. They had none of that. My paint is drying so fast due to the sun and how hot it is. I was talking to this artist at the pool the other day, and she works with watercolors. And she told me she's very particular with when she paints outside. So, I haven't really realized what conditions I like to paint in. So, I'm normally inside. I have painted outside a couple of times, on the beach or in the woods. So, I'm gonna start taking note of that. Why not? Why freaking not? My storage was full, so I had to delete some bullshit. The paint dries so fast out here. So I'm just gonna keep doing my thing, and I'll talk to y'all later. Alright. I did the background. You can't really see it. Let me zoom you in, because I'm not moving either. So I did like browns, blues, greens. I'm just going to tape the sides of them right now with painter's tape, because I don't want the edges to get all funky. And then I'm going to show you how that was really messed up. I'm really enjoying being outside on this Sunday. There's no clouds. I had a kid walk up to me and be like, "What are you painting?" It was really cute. I was like, I always bring like extra paints and tiny papers just in case someone else wants to paint. But yeah, I'll show you my painter's tape and everything too once I get it all taped up. I taped the edges. Now I'm gonna sketch in this book and figure out the dimensions of how I'm gonna put the lily pads so then I can do the modeling paste on there. But I'm just doing that because it's gonna get really messy. I'm brave for doing it in the sand, but maybe it'll add some character. So yeah, normally instead of just stenciling it out on the canvas, take my little notebook, draw out what kind of lily pad I want, and figure it out. Luckily, the texture doesn't look, I don't know if you can see how raised it is. It doesn't look as serious as it did before. And I'm digging it. Digging it. My battery is actually about to poop itself. So this is it for now. Nice to meet you all. And I will be posting a continuation of this painting. So it'll be fun. It'll be good. I'm gonna call you guys doodlebops because doodlebop is my favorite. So the doodlebops unite. Hopefully all the doodlebops gather here and we can alchemize and do great things together and inspire one another. Hopefully you took something from it today and my artist date at the beach.